What happens when a cleaning boy dares to warn a billionaire woman of impending danger, only to wake up to an unexpected luxury at his doorstep? Oliver Marsh was no ordinary cleaning boy. At 19, he had already seen more hardship than most. His days were spent scrubbing the floors of grand hotels, where opulence was a stark contrast to his modest life in a crumbling studio apartment. Despite his struggles, Oliver carried a spark of curiosity and a knack for observing details others overlooked, a skill that would one day change his life. One brisk autumn evening, Oliver was working at the Grand Fortuna Hotel, a favorite destination for the wealthy elite. Among its prestigious guests was Vivian Cross, a billionaire tech entrepreneur known for her sharp business acumen and glamorous lifestyle. With her was her husband Colin, whose reserved demeanor seemed a stark contrast to Vivian's vibrance. While cleaning the lobby, Oliver overheard snippets of conversation that piqued his intuition. Colin's phone calls were hushed and tense, his glances shifty. Something didn't sit right with Oliver, and his instincts screamed that something was amiss. Vivian, draped in her signature designer attire, exuded confidence as she passed by Oliver that evening. But Oliver couldn't help but notice a hint of vulnerability behind her poised smile. It was clear she trusted Colin implicitly, even as his behavior hinted otherwise. The following day, Colin announced a sudden trip abroad, insisting that Vivian accompany him. Something in Oliver's gut warned him of danger. Despite his position as merely a cleaning boy, he decided he couldn't stay silent. During a quiet moment, he approached Vivian with hesitation. "Ma'am," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I know it's not my place, but please don't go on that trip with your husband. I think you might be in danger." Vivian froze, her eyes narrowing in surprise and disbelief. Before she could respond, Colin appeared, his face a mask of suspicion. Dismissing Oliver curtly, he led Vivian away. Oliver's heart sank as he watched them leave, unsure if his warning would even be considered. That night, he returned to his tiny apartment, uncertain if he had done the right thing. But the next morning, a sight outside his door would alter his life forever. The night after his warning, Oliver lay on his creaky bed, staring at the peeling ceiling of his apartment. Doubts clouded his mind. Had he been foolish to approach Vivian? What could a billionaire like her possibly make of a cleaning boy's cryptic warning? The very thought made him cringe with embarrassment. But deep down, he felt he had done what he needed to. At the Grand Fortuna, Oliver had developed a sharp eye for human behavior. Years of observing guests taught him that wealth didn't necessarily shield people from betrayal or danger. He had seen family feuds spill out in whispered arguments, business deals crumble in furious outbursts, and occasionally secrets that hinted at something darker. Vivian's husband, Colin, wasn't the first guest whose actions seemed out of place. But this time Oliver had felt an unusual urgency, as if his warning was the only barrier between Vivian and disaster. That night he prayed she would at least consider his words. Unbeknownst to Oliver, his small act of courage had set a ripple effect in motion, one that would reach his modest doorstep in the most astonishing way. The next morning, sunlight spilled into Oliver's cramped apartment, waking him earlier than usual. He rubbed his eyes, preparing for another routine day at the Grand Fortuna. But as he pulled back the thin curtains, he froze. Parked just outside his building was a gleaming black luxury car. A Bentley, its polished exterior reflecting the morning light. It was so out of place among the rusted bikes and run-down vehicles of the neighborhood that Oliver wondered if it had taken a wrong turn. He watched as a well-dressed chauffeur stepped out of the car and approached his building. Confused, Oliver hurried to the door, his heart pounding. The chauffeur handed him a sealed envelope, his expression professional but unreadable. "This is for you, Mr. Marsh," he said before nodding politely and walking back to the car. Oliver stared at the envelope in his trembling hands. It was made of heavy, expensive paper, embossed with a gold emblem. As he opened it, his eyes widened. Inside was a handwritten note from Vivian Cross herself. "Oliver, your courage saved my life. I owe you more than I can express. Please accept this as a small token of my gratitude." And beneath it, an address and an invitation to her estate. Oliver's heart raced as he stood on the doorstep of Vivian Cross's sprawling estate. The note in his pocket felt heavier than it should, its words etched into his mind. He couldn't fathom how his simple warning could have saved a billionaire's life. But the car and invitation made it clear. His actions had not gone unnoticed. As he stepped inside, the grandeur of the estate left him momentarily breathless. Marble floors gleamed under the light of a massive crystal chandelier. Art pieces that belonged in museums adorned the walls, and the air carried a faint scent of roses. A butler guided him to the sitting room, where Vivian waited, her expression a mix of gratitude and resolve. "Oliver," she said warmly, standing to greet him. "Thank you for coming. Please sit." He hesitated but obeyed, feeling out of place on the plush leather chair. Vivian wasted no time. "You were right about Colin," she began, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "I didn't want to believe it at first. But after you warned me, I started paying attention. His phone calls, his behavior. He was planning something sinister." Oliver's eyes widened. "What do you mean, ma'am?" Vivian took a deep breath. "Colin had arranged for an accident to happen during our trip. I discovered the evidence, documents, payments, even emails. It was all there." Her voice broke slightly. "He was planning to eliminate me." Oliver struggled to process the revelation. "Why would he do that?" he asked. Vivian's gaze darkened. "Control and greed. He wanted to inherit my empire and secure his financial future without me. I thought I knew him, but the truth is I was blind to his true nature." She paused, composing herself. "After I confronted him, he fled. My security team is working with the authorities to locate him. But that's not why I called you here." Oliver blinked, unsure of what she meant. Vivian leaned forward, her piercing eyes locking onto his. "You saved me, Oliver. You trusted your instincts and had the courage to speak up. That's something many people wouldn't do." Embarrassed by the praise, Oliver looked away. I couldn't ignore what I saw." Vivian smiled. "And because of that, you've earned my trust. I want to offer you an opportunity, a chance to leave behind the struggles you've endured and start anew." She explained her offer, a position within her company, starting as a junior analyst with a generous salary and resources to continue his education. Stunned, Oliver stammered, "I don't know what to say." "This is more than I ever dreamed of." "It's not charity, Oliver," Vivian clarified. "It's an investment in someone with potential, someone who sees what others overlook." Over the following weeks, Oliver adjusted to his new role. The corporate world was as intimidating as the estate had been, but his sharp mind and determination made him stand out. Vivian mentored him personally, teaching him not only business strategies, but also the importance of trust and intuition. Meanwhile, the search for Colin intensified. News broke of his failed plot, tarnishing his reputation and shocking the public. Vivian's team discovered he had fled the country, leaving a trail of unpaid debts and disgruntled associates. Amid the chaos, Oliver's life transformed. He moved into a modest but comfortable apartment closer to the office and enrolled in evening classes to finish his degree. Each day brought new challenges, but his resolve never wavered. At the office, he formed a bond with fellow employees, particularly Amelia, a sharp-witted marketing executive who admired his resilience. As their friendship grew, Oliver began to find a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. One evening as he walked home, a sleek black car pulled up beside him. The window rolled down to reveal Vivian. "Hop in," she said. In the car, Vivian handed Oliver a sealed folder. "Inside are details of a project I'd like you to lead," she said. Oliver opened the folder to find plans for a charitable foundation focused on helping underprivileged youth. "I want you to run this," Vivian said. You understand what it means to struggle. You'll ensure we do this right. Overwhelmed, Oliver nodded. I'll do my best. The project consumed Oliver's time and energy, but he poured his heart into it, determined to make a difference. He collaborated with community leaders, recruited passionate staff, and even returned to his old neighborhood to identify areas where the foundation could help. One day, as he was preparing for a major presentation to potential donors, he received unexpected news. Colin had been apprehended. Vivian was relieved but resolute. It's a chapter closed, she told Oliver. The foundation's launch was a resounding success. With Vivian's support and Oliver's vision, it became a beacon of hope for countless children. Despite the foundation's early success, Oliver soon discovered that working with community programs wasn't as straightforward as he had hoped. Challenges emerged: bureaucratic hurdles, skepticism from local leaders, and a lack of trust from the very people the foundation aimed to help. Vivian, however, stood by him every step of the way. This work isn't easy, Oliver, she reminded him during a late-night strategy session. You're not just fixing systems, you're rebuilding trust that's been broken for decades. Her words resonated with him, pushing him to stay focused. Meanwhile, Oliver continued his transformation at the company, gradually earning respect from colleagues who initially underestimated him. Amelia became an invaluable ally, often stepping in with creative ideas to solve problems. Their partnership began to draw attention, with some speculating about a deeper connection between them. One evening, Oliver returned to his apartment to find a letter waiting for him. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the contents sent a chill down his spine. You should have stayed in your place, it read. You don't know who you're dealing with. Oliver's mind raced. Was this Colin's doing? Was there more to his plot than Vivian had? Oliver immediately informed Vivian of the threatening note, and she didn't hesitate to act. Her security team increased their vigilance, and the police were notified. Still, the unease lingered. I underestimated how far Colin's reach could go, Vivian admitted during a private meeting. But if he thinks he can scare us, he's wrong. Determined to protect the foundation and everyone involved, Oliver threw himself into his work. He began visiting neighborhoods late at night, speaking directly to struggling families and learning about their needs. His authenticity and genuine concern started to win over even the most skeptical community leaders. One evening, while visiting his old neighborhood, Oliver encountered a group of teenagers huddled near a dimly lit basketball court. They were wary of him at first, but he struck up a conversation, sharing his own struggles and how he had worked his way out of them. You don't have to be defined by where you start, he told them. Unknown to Oliver, one of the teens recorded their conversation and shared it online. Within days, the video went viral, painting him as a symbol of resilience and hope. This unexpected attention brought more support to the foundation, but also increased scrutiny. As the foundation gained momentum, Oliver received an invitation to speak at a high-profile charity gala hosted by Vivian's company. The event was a platform to showcase the foundation's impact and attract influential donors. Despite his growing confidence, Oliver felt out of place among the elites in their tailored suits and sparkling jewelry. Amelia reassured him, "Just be yourself. That's what makes you stand out." When it was his turn to speak, Oliver shared his journey, from cleaning floors to managing a foundation that was transforming lives. His words moved the audience, many of whom pledged substantial donations. The success of the gala further solidified Oliver's reputation, but it also drew attention from unexpected quarters. A few days after the event, he received a cryptic phone call. "You think you're safe because of her, but you're not," the voice warned before disconnecting. Vivian's team traced the call to an associate of Colin's, confirming their suspicions that he was still trying to undermine her and Oliver. "We need to bring this to an end," Vivian said resolutely. The tension reached its peak when Colin made a bold move. He released a statement to the press, accusing Vivian and Oliver of fabricating the claims against him. He painted himself as the victim of a calculated scheme to ruin his life. creating a media frenzy that threatened to overshadow the Foundation's work. Oliver felt the weight of the accusations keenly. "What if people believe him?" he asked Vivian during a late-night strategy meeting. "Truth has a way of surfacing, Oliver," she replied. "We just need to stay the course." Determined to clear their names, Vivian and Oliver worked with legal experts to compile irrefutable evidence of Colin's wrongdoing. At the same time, Oliver leaned on the community he had built through the Foundation. Many came forward to support him, sharing how his efforts had changed their lives. The turning point came when a former associate of Colin's came forward with damning evidence, proving his guilt and exposing his broader schemes. The revelations were devastating, not only to Colin's credibility, but also to his remaining allies. With the truth finally out, Colin's influence crumbled. He was arrested and faced numerous charges, from fraud to conspiracy. The fallout from Colin's arrest sent shockwaves through the media and the business world. Vivian's name was cleared, and her reputation, though bruised, emerged stronger than before. But for Oliver, the victory felt bittersweet. He had stood on the precipice of ruin, his hard work nearly undone by Colin's schemes. The day after the arrest, Oliver attended a press conference with Vivian. Questions flew from reporters, but Vivian stood firm, her commanding presence dominating the room. "The truth always prevails," she declared, her voice unwavering. "And justice has been served, thanks to those who believe in doing what's right." As the cameras flashed, Oliver remained silent, his thoughts racing. Despite the victory, he couldn't shake the feeling that the Foundation's mission had been tainted by the scandal. He resolved to rebuild trust with the community, starting from the ground up. Later that evening, as he worked late at the Foundation office, a knock on the door startled him. He opened it to find Amelia holding a thermos of coffee. "Thought you might need this?" she said with a smile. Her presence reminded him that even in the face of adversity, he wasn't alone. Their conversation drifted to the future of the Foundation. "What we're doing matters, Oliver," Amelia said, her tone earnest. "Don't let anyone take that away from you." While the scandal faded from public attention, a new challenge arose, one that would test Oliver's resilience like never before. Reports surfaced of internal resistance within the Foundation, with some employees doubting the leadership's ability to steer the organization forward. Determined to address these concerns head-on, Oliver scheduled an all-hands meeting. Standing before his team, he spoke with raw honesty. "I know the past few months have been difficult," he admitted, "but I believe in this mission. Together, we can overcome any challenge." His words struck a chord, and slowly, the team began to rally behind him. Vivian, observing from the sidelines, felt a swell of pride. "You've grown into a true leader," she told him later. Amid this turmoil, an unexpected letter arrived at the Foundation's office. It was from one of the teens Oliver had met at the basketball court months earlier. The letter described how the Foundation's programs had given him hope and a path to escape a life of poverty. Moved by the letter, Oliver decided to expand the Foundation's reach. He proposed new initiatives focused on youth mentorship, vocational training, and mental health support. Vivian approved the plan, promising additional funding to make it a reality. As the Foundation's new initiatives gained momentum, Oliver's personal life took an unexpected turn. His bond with Amelia deepened, and what began as a supportive friendship blossomed into something more. Their shared passion for the Foundation's mission brought them closer, and their late-night brainstorming sessions often ended with laughter and unspoken warmth. One evening, as they walked through the city after a long day, Amelia confided in Oliver. "You've changed so much since the day I met you," she said. "You've gone from someone trying to find his place to someone creating a place for others." Oliver smiled, her words sinking deep into his heart. "I couldn't have done it alone," he replied. Their relationship became a source of strength for Oliver, providing him with the balance he needed to navigate the pressures of leadership. With Amelia by his side, he felt ready to tackle any challenge. However, the shadows of Colin's betrayal lingered. During a routine meeting with Vivian, She revealed that some of Colin's former allies were still trying to disrupt her business empire. "We need to stay vigilant," she warned. "Success makes us a target." The warning proved prophetic. Just as the Foundation began to thrive, a cyber attack targeted Vivian's company and the Foundation's databases. Sensitive donor information was leaked, threatening to undermine the trust they had painstakingly rebuilt. The attack sent shockwaves through the organization. Employees scrambled to contain the damage, and Vivian called an emergency meeting. "We've faced worse," she said firmly, "and we'll overcome this too." Oliver stepped forward with a bold idea. "We need to address this head-on. Transparency is key. Let's hold a public forum to answer questions and reaffirm our commitment to our mission." The forum drew a large audience, including donors, community members, and the media. Standing before the crowd, Oliver spoke from the heart. "This foundation was built on trust and resilience," he said. "We may have been shaken, but we will not falter. Our mission remains unchanged, to empower those who need it most." His speech was met with applause, and many donors pledged to continue their support. The attack, while damaging, ultimately strengthened the Foundation's resolve. Behind the scenes, Vivian's cybersecurity team traced the attack back to a disgruntled former employee linked to Colin. The revelation brought closure to a painful chapter, allowing Oliver and Vivian to focus on the future. The aftermath of the cyber attack left Vivian and Oliver with one final challenge: rebuilding the public's trust in the Foundation and her company. News outlets continued to question their security measures, and critics speculated whether the organization could recover. Oliver realized that transparency alone wasn't enough. They needed action to prove their commitment. He proposed launching a new initiative, a scholarship program for underprivileged youth that would directly address educational inequalities. "If we show the impact we're making, people will believe in us again," he explained to Vivian during one of their late-night meetings. Vivian approved the idea, and together they unveiled the initiative at a press conference. The scholarship program offered not just financial support but also mentorship opportunities, connecting recipients with professionals in their fields of interest. To bring the program to life, Oliver returned to the neighborhoods he had once called home. He spoke with families, teachers, and community leaders to identify students who would benefit the most. The personal touch resonated with many, and soon the program began to gain traction. Meanwhile, Amelia played a crucial role in managing the Foundation's public image. She organized community events and highlighted success stories, ensuring the focus remained on the lives being transformed. Her dedication reminded Oliver why their partnership worked so well. Together, they brought balance to the Foundation's mission. As the scholarship program took off, a new opportunity emerged. An international nonprofit reached out, proposing a partnership to expand the Foundation's reach beyond local communities. The offer was tempting, but it came with challenges. Working on a global scale required more resources and a different approach. Vivian and Oliver debated the proposal extensively. "This could take our work to the next level," Vivian said, "but it's a huge risk. We're still recovering from the cyber attack." Oliver considered her words carefully. "I think we should go for it," he said finally. "If we wait for the perfect moment, we'll miss the chance to help more people." Their decision to move forward marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Foundation. With the support of the international nonprofit, they launched pilot programs in underdeveloped regions focusing on education and vocational training. The initiative was a success, attracting attention from global leaders and media outlets. However, the increased visibility brought its own set of challenges. Critics questioned whether Oliver, with his modest background, was qualified to lead such an ambitious project. He faced tough questions during interviews, but his honesty and passion silenced most doubts. One evening, after a particularly grueling press conference, Oliver confided in Amelia. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm in over my head," he admitted. Amelia placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've earned this, Oliver. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." As the foundation expanded globally, Colin's shadow re-emerged one final time. From his prison cell, he began granting interviews to journalists, spinning tales of betrayal and conspiracy. Though his claims lacked evidence, they reignited public interest and cast doubt on Vivian and Oliver's integrity. Determined to put an end to Colin's influence, Vivian and Oliver took a bold step. They agreed to participate in a televised debate with one of Colin's most vocal supporters. The debate, broadcast live, was a high-stakes gamble. On the day of the debate, Oliver felt a knot of nerves in his stomach. Standing in the green room, he glanced at Vivian. "What if this backfires?" he asked. Vivian smiled reassuringly. "The truth is on our side, Oliver. We just need to speak it." When the cameras rolled, Vivian opened with a powerful statement about resilience and accountability. Oliver followed, sharing his journey from a cleaning boy to a leader who had dedicated his life to helping others. The turning point came when they presented a comprehensive report detailing the foundation's achievements, backed by testimonials from the communities they had helped. The evidence was irrefutable, and by the end of the debate, the tide of public opinion had shifted decisively in their favor. The debate marked the end of Colin's influence. Public support for the foundation surged, and donations poured in from around the world. For Oliver, the victory was deeply personal, a vindication of his journey and the choices he had made. With the foundation's future secure, Oliver turned his attention to the next phase of its mission. He proposed establishing a leadership academy for young adults, aiming to equip the next generation with the skills and confidence to create positive change. The academy's launch was a grand affair, attended by dignitaries, community leaders, and alumni of the foundation's programs. As Oliver stood on the stage addressing the crowd, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. "In every challenge, there is an opportunity," he said. "And in every person, there is potential waiting to be unlocked. This foundation isn't just about helping others, it's about empowering them to help themselves and their communities." The crowd erupted in applause, and Oliver knew that the journey he had begun as a cleaning boy had come full circle. His courage and determination had not only saved Vivian's life but also created a legacy that would inspire countless others. With Colin's influence eliminated and the foundation flourishing, life settled into a steady rhythm for Oliver. The Leadership Academy became a beacon of hope, attracting ambitious young minds eager to make a difference. Vivian remained an active mentor to Oliver, but she began delegating more responsibilities to him, trusting his judgment. "You've more than proven yourself," she told him during a private conversation. "This foundation is as much yours as it is mine." Oliver also found time to strengthen his relationship with Amelia. Their bond deepened as they supported each other through the challenges of leadership. One evening, during a quiet dinner, Amelia surprised Oliver with a simple question. "What's next for you?" Oliver smiled, gazing out at the city skyline. "I'm still figuring that out," he admitted. "But whatever it is, I know I'll be building it with you by my side." Meanwhile, the foundation's work began to show tangible results. Stories of young adults starting businesses, graduating from college, and giving back to their communities poured in. Oliver realized that his vision had not just come to life, but was evolving into something far greater than he had imagined. One sunny afternoon, Oliver returned to the neighborhood where his journey began. As he walked past the buildings and streets he once cleaned, he was struck by how much had changed, not just in the environment but within himself. He stopped at a small community center where the foundation had funded a new after-school program. Children laughed as they painted murals and played games, their joy filling the space with energy. A young boy approached Oliver, clutching a crayon-streaked drawing. "Are you Mr. Marsh?" the boy asked shyly. Oliver crouched down to the boy's level. "I am," he said with a warm smile. "My mom says you helped build this place," the boy continued, holding up his drawing. "Thank you." The moment filled Oliver with a quiet pride. It was a reminder that his work wasn't just about numbers or programs, but about people. Each life touched was a testament to what could be achieved through determination and compassion. As he walked home that day, Oliver felt a renewed sense of purpose. The struggles he had faced and the lessons he had learned had all been worth it. Meanwhile, Vivian began to step back from the spotlight, allowing Oliver to take the lead. "It's time for new voices to shape the future," she said during a meeting. Her decision marked a significant turning point for both of them. For Vivian, it was the culmination of years of work. For Oliver, it was the beginning of a new chapter where he could fully realize his vision. At the Foundation's headquarters, Oliver worked tirelessly to implement innovative programs. He introduced mentorship schemes, pairing academy graduates with local leaders, and expanded their global initiatives to include disaster relief efforts. One evening, as he reviewed reports in his office, Vivian appeared at the door. "I'm proud of you," she said simply. "You've built something extraordinary." Oliver nodded, his gratitude evident. "I couldn't have done it without you." "You remind me of why I started all this in the first place," Vivian added. "You've given me hope for the future." Their conversation ended with a handshake, an unspoken agreement that the torch had been passed. In the months that followed, Oliver's leadership transformed the Foundation into a global force for good. Their programs reached millions, addressing issues ranging from education to healthcare. Amelia played a central role in managing the Foundation's growing reputation, while Oliver focused on expanding their impact. Together, they became a powerful team, balancing each other's strengths and ensuring the Foundation remained true to its mission. During a gala celebrating the Foundation's 10th anniversary, Oliver took the stage to deliver a heartfelt speech. "This journey has taught me that no act of kindness is ever too small," he said. "What began as a simple warning has grown into a movement that proves we can all make a difference." As the crowd applauded, Oliver looked out at the audience, spotting familiar faces: Vivian, Amelia, and many of the people whose lives the Foundation had touched. Their smiles reminded him that his journey had come full circle. When the gala ended, Oliver stood outside, gazing at the stars. Amelia joined him, her hand slipping into his. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "About how far we've come," he replied, "and how much more we can do." Months after the gala, Oliver's Leadership Academy and Foundation continued to flourish. The transformation wasn't just evident in the organization, but also in Oliver himself. He had grown from a humble cleaning boy into a confident leader who inspired those around him. Vivian officially retired, choosing to spend more time traveling and pursuing personal passions. Before leaving, she left Oliver with a heartfelt letter. "Oliver," it read, "you've accomplished more than I ever imagined. Watching you grow has been one of the greatest joys of my life. This foundation is your legacy now. Use it to continue building a better world." Her words brought tears to Oliver's eyes. He framed the letter and placed it in his office, a daily reminder of the faith she had placed in him. In his personal life, Oliver found happiness with Amelia. Their shared dedication to the Foundation strengthened their bond, and they began planning their future together. Despite the weight of their responsibilities, they always found time to celebrate small victories, whether it was a successful project or a simple dinner at home. Oliver often reflected on how far he had come, grateful for every twist of fate that had brought him to this point. As the years passed, the Foundation expanded its influence globally. Programs once limited to local neighborhoods now operated in multiple countries, impacting millions of lives. Oliver became a sought-after speaker at international conferences, sharing his story to inspire others. One of his most memorable appearances was at a United Nations summit, where he discussed the power of grassroots movements to create lasting change. Standing before world leaders, he recounted his journey and the importance of courage and compassion in the face of adversity. "Our greatest strength lies in the connections we build with one another," he said. "When we uplift one life, we create a ripple that touches countless others." The speech received a standing ovation, cementing Oliver's reputation as a leader whose actions matched his words. His story was no longer just about a cleaning boy who had saved a billionaire. It had become a testament to the power of determination and empathy. Back home, the foundation continued to thrive under Oliver's leadership. He made it a point to stay connected with the communities they served, often visiting schools and meeting with families to ensure their voices were heard. One summer evening, Oliver hosted a celebration at the foundation's headquarters to mark its 15th anniversary. The event brought together alumni from the Leadership Academy, staff members, and community leaders who had supported the foundation over the years. As Oliver walked through the crowd, he was approached by a young woman holding a baby. She introduced herself as Maria, one of the scholarship recipients from the foundation's early days. "You probably don't remember me," she said, "but the foundation changed my life. I wouldn't be here today without it." The moment reminded Oliver of why he had dedicated his life to this work. It wasn't about recognition or success. It was about creating opportunities for people to thrive. That night, as the celebration wound down, Oliver took a quiet moment to reflect. The journey had been far from easy, but every challenge had shaped him into the person he was today. Looking at the photos lining the walls, of children smiling, families thriving, and communities transformed, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. As Oliver stood in his office, the city lights twinkling outside, Amelia joined him. "You did it," she said softly, placing her hand on his shoulder. "We did it," Oliver corrected, a smile spreading across his face. "And there's still so much more to do." Their conversation was interrupted by a knock at the door. It was a young intern, nervous but excited. "Mr. Marsh, there's someone here to see you," she said. Oliver stepped out to find a teenage boy waiting nervously in the hallway. The boy introduced himself as Ethan, one of the foundation's newest scholarship recipients. "I just wanted to thank you in person," Ethan said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I never thought someone like me could have a chance like this." Oliver placed a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "Just make the most of this opportunity and help others when you can. That's all I ask." As Ethan left, Oliver felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The boy's gratitude was a reminder that the foundation's work would continue to touch lives long after he was gone. Looking out at the night sky, Oliver whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning."